Hello everyone, this is another episode of Inside Out Roslyn, and at the end of the last episode we asked the question that a developer who is using a code analyzer could actually silence or change the configuration of the analyzer that we have provided. In this episode we will explore how we could, as consumer of an analyzer, change its configuration or disable it or suppress it in general, and how, as a writer of a code analyzer, we could prevent the consumers of our code analyzer to do so. So let's dig into it. Here you will see that our code analyzer is reporting a diagnostic error, meaning that we have some problem in here. And if I right click on my project and click on build select projects, you will see that it will also report the error in here, right? I could also use the .NET build command. If I go to terminal, I could also use the .NET build command, and this will also report the same error for us with the same error code. Now, if I click on this line that the diagnostic is reported and go to this light bulb and go to the inspection and say disable with pragma. I could use this pragma around this statement or around the method or the class, but let's go with this around it. And now you will see that the diagnostic SHG001 is actually disabled. It means that if I build the project, it will no longer report any error. This is true also if I go to my command line and run .NET. Let me clear the page here, say .NET build. You see there's no error anymore reported. And that means actually that the developer using our code analyzer could actually circumvent what was our intention from that code diagnostic. This is one way to disable a code analyzer by using the preprocessors. So here we have the pragma preprocessor with warning disable for a code analyzer ID, which is something that we have defined in our code analyzer. Okay, let's remove this pragma. There's another way to change the configuration of our code analyzer, and that is by adding an editor config file. So let's go here and say .editor config. And in this editor config file, we could configure the severity of our code diagnostic. In the editor.config file, first of all, we need to say that what are the type of the files that we want this editor config file to be applied to. So here I'm adding like start.cs files. Then we need to specify which diagnostic ID's severity level we want to change. And that is like .NET underscore diagnostic dot SHG001 dot severity equals none. I'm saving this file, and if we go to our greeter.cs, you see that the error is again gone. I'm building the project. And if we use the command line again, and in the command line .NET build, we see that there is no error as well. Just bear in mind that the .editor config files are applying to the current directory and all the subdirectories of that directory that these files are placed in. So this was also another way. Let me comment these lines. Going back to the greeter class, the error should be back, and if we build via the command line, again we should have an error reported. The next approach that we could disable a diagnostic analyzer or change its severity level is through adding a global config file. So let's say I have that global config file, and in here, first of all, we need to mention that is it global or not. And then we follow the same pattern. So .NET diagnostic dot SHG001 dot severity equals none. I'm saving that. If we go now back to our greeter, the error is gone, and also through the command line .NET build, you will see that the error is gone as well. There are a couple of things to mention about .global config file. First of all, if it is named .global config file, I think you don't even need to mention is global true. If I'll do that, going back to greeter, you see that error is still not there. If I build, it is still not reported as the result of the build process and compilation process. And if you name it something else, let's say my global config file, the error is in here. So you see that it's like the default behavior. I need to go in here, uh, bring back the is global equals true. I'm saving it. And you see that the error is still here. It doesn't, it did, even though I said it is global true, it didn't recognize it because I need to tell my project what is the global analyzer config file. So if I'll go to this CS project, let's add a separate item group for those things. And here we say global, not global analyzer config files, and we are including the file that we added in our project. Include equals dot my global config. Let's go to the greeter. Okay, the error is still there. Let's double check what was going on. Okay, I have a typo in here, so global analyzer config files, and we are saving it. Going to the greeter again, the error is gone. And if we do the .NET build in here, you see we don't have the error. Let me comment this line and build again, .NET build. And you see the error is back. So this is another way to change the severity level or disable and enable a code analyzer file. Another approach, which is also inside the CS proj file, is by providing compiler options. One of the options we could provide is the no warn option, and it expects a list of comma-separated diagnostic IDs. So in my case, it is just one diagnostic ID, so it would be SHG001. And if I build the project again inside the terminal, you will see the error is gone. If we go to the greeter.cs file, you see the error is also gone, and also the same happens if we build through the IDE. All of these approaches that I just mentioned, they are just changing the default configuration of a diagnostic analyzer. So they are either disabling them or changing their severity. What I mean by changing the default configuration is that when we are defining our configuration in our maybe semantic analyzer class, there was a place that we have defined a diagnostic descriptor. Here is our diagnostic descriptor and the rule that we have defined. When we were defining that, we said that it is enabled by default. So this is like the default value for whether the diagnostic is enabled or disabled. And also we provided a default diagnostic severity. So we said it is an error. It's not a warning or it's not an information. And these were the things that we have changed through those different approaches that we mentioned. So now let's change our hats and wear the hat of a person who is writing the diagnostic analyzer, right? So when I'm writing my analyzer, sometimes you want the warning or the error that you're providing to always be there and prevent the application from compilation, because that might lead to some runtime errors that you want to prevent from happening. So how could we achieve that? When we are defining this rule, the last parameter is custom tags. And there we could pass an array of different tags. So I'm saying well-known tags, diagnostic tags, and then I'm saying not configurable. That means whoever is consuming this diagnostic analyzer cannot configure it. So let's build the analyzer package first, because we want this to be affected now. And then let's go to our greeter class and build our project. You see, the error is back again, even though through the sorry, even though through the compiler options we said we don't want this to be warned, we want this to be omitted. I'm commenting this and I'm going one step back. I'm using the global analyzer config file, and let's build it again, this time from the command line. Build. The error is still there. We have the error in here. And so I have it in there. Let's also, I'm not commenting, I'm returning this back again. If I add the editor config, so I'm saying do not comment this thing. So maybe through the editor config we could achieve that. Let's build the project. The error is still there, and if I also run .NET build, the error is still there. So let's go to the first approach that we introduced. What about we use pragma, like the preprocessor directives, and use the pragma? It is not disabling it because we said this diagnostic is not configurable. You cannot change its severity level. You cannot disable or enable it. It is what we said, and it will remain so. However, there is another way to suppress analyzers. Let's remove these two in here. Let's actually keep them in here as well. I'm going over my class. There is the suppress message attribute that we could use to suppress a specific diagnostic that we want. This is not changing its severity. This is not disabling it. This is just ignoring it, just suppressing it. So here we say its category is usage and it is SHG001. And you see the error is immediately gone. If I also go to the command line and say .NET build, again, the error is gone. We could also put this suppress message attribute over the method that we are using, or we could even move it, yeah, we could even move it to like another file, let's say program file that we have. And here in the program file, we could even say that we want this to be assembly-wise, like this message suppressed assembly-wise. So I'm saying its category is again usage and it is SHG001. And when I'm saving this, you could also provide justification. And here I'm saying for demo purposes. Then if we go back to our greeted class, you see the error is again gone, and .NET build also will not report anything back. Sorry, .NET build. Nothing is reported back. So it is again suppressed. Interestingly enough, there is also another way to force these kind of suppressions and make sure that even this could not happen. So back again to our maybe semantic analyzers, there is another flag that we could pass, and it is well-known tags.compiler. So we say that this is actually like a compiler error. It's like a compiler diagnostic. You should not suppress it, or you could not suppress it. So if we build this project to have this flag affected to our analyzer, and we go again and now build our selected project, you will see that here the error is again reported. This is true for our command line as well. So let's clear .NET build, and the error is again here. So we have one error and it is SHG001. And it is in this location. So going back to our greeter.cs file, you will see the error is again in here and it is reported. In this episode, we have learned how we could change the severity level of code analyzers or disable them altogether, and also how we could suppress them when their configuration is not configurable. From the perspective of someone who's writing a code analyzer, we also learned that there are custom tags, and we could pass not configurable tag and compiler tag to make sure that whoever is consuming our code analyzer is not able to change its severity level or disable it, and also not able to suppress it. There was also another way that I forgot to mention this episode, and it was by using the rule sets. However, I have described that in my blog post, and I will add the link to the blog post down in the comment. You could go there and read more about it. That's it for this episode. If you like the series so far, I really appreciate if you hit the like button so more people could discover the content, and also share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, enjoy coding, and demetungar.